Hey, what is up, guys? It is Harrison Barron from growth-generators.com. Now, in this video, I have a pretty cool tool that everybody should be using, and it is going to make your life much simpler, even if you're a veteran in the MSP industry, and if you're just getting your feet in the water, dipping your toes in, it will make your life a million times easier. And I'm going to dive into that in 1 second. But before I do want to mention my free masterclass. There's a link down in the video description below. And quite honestly, all of the important links, or at least links that I think are very important, are listed down there. So if you're looking for a tool that I may have mentioned in the past, there's a high probability of it being down there. Also, if you go to growth-generators.com/tools, there is going to be a list of pretty much all the tools that I've either put on the videos or just tools that I'm making or tools that I never announced. You might find some little hidden gems in there that you never seen before. So let's get into it. In the MSP world, there is a lot of stuff. There's just a lot of stuff. There's so many different areas, from server racks to servers, switches, WANs, you have LANs, you have all of these like interesting key terms. And quite honestly, some of those key terms are really, really important. And when you're first starting out, or when you have already started out, you're still going to hear things. Even I hear things, being a veteran in the industry, and quite honestly, being a technology veteran now for a large handful of years, I still hear things. I'm like, I have never heard of that acronym before. And a lot of times it's might be normal to that person. And you have to keep that in mind as time goes on. What is normal to you might be very abnormal to somebody else, or very obscure to somebody else, because we might say your WAN or your LAN or your WAP, wireless access point, but somebody else is like, what's a wireless access point? These are terms that you have to eventually create into layman's terms and explain to people. Oh, your WAN or your WAP, it creates the Wi-Fi, right? And yes, I know WAN is different, but all of these different things come into play as you're talking to people, and we use them as buzzwords. Now, for some of your prospects or ideal clients, they are going to have certain key terms that they may use more than other clients, other terms that they're going to end up using. Like a ZTN, Zero Trust Network, is something that maybe the casinos in Las Vegas should be using. All of these things matter to certain different people. So I have gone ahead and made your life a million times easier. I built out a cheat sheet of just about 200 of the most popular acronyms out there. Now, you have heard me already say some of these in a lot of different videos. Your annual reoccurring revenue, you'll find in there MRR, monthly reoccurring revenue. Now, I did go through and I've added as many of them as I possibly can, but something that's becoming more and more popular, BI. Now, when you're first getting into it, you're like, what's BI? Sometimes Google doesn't yield the results that you want. If you search BI in MSP, it may or may not say business intelligence. And some of these are going to just not be available on the internet, because you have to be an expert and you have to know what you're searching for it. So I wanted to go through and I wanted to make this cheat sheet for you to go through it. This is pretty interesting. CAPTCHA actually stands for Completely Automated Public Turing Test to Tell Computers and Humans Apart. That's what CAPTCHA stands for. I didn't know that until I wrote this, and I actually had heard it several months ago, but I'm like, this is so useful. But as you begin to have these different conversations with clients of all different sizes, CapEx is a really, really popular term, not in the MSP world, but guess whose world it's really, really important in? The accountant or the CFO, chief financial officer, that is writing your check, because a capital expenditure is how the business is spending money. In the most basic term, right? This is not a learn and go through everything, but every single industry and every company has these terms. And the hard part, and the reason why I made this, is because when you're on the phone going through these phone calls, you could not possibly type in what is CapEx in business language. You could just scroll down. I've already organized it all into alphabetical order, and go through. A CDN, content delivery network, is something important. You probably need to know CRM, customer relationship management, or manager, depending on who's saying it. All of these will have some slight variation, but CTO is a common term in this world. So I've built out about 200 of these. I mean, all the way down to literally ZTN in here, Zero Trust Network, ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access, close enough. But There is so much in here that you can just go through and understand. Hey, nobody's going to say why, but they will over an email. And it just is going to make your area or your level of knowledge easier to access, and your area that you can speak on much simpler. Because if you're talking, and I want to tell you how to use this, if you're talking to a CFO, they want to know YOY, year-over-year expenditures, or CapEx, capital expenditures. What is their BI, their business intelligence, or what can you provide as far as BI goes for them to use as a tool? And now when you start to think about it this way, you can talk their talk. And we all know that people buy from people they know, like, and trust, right? Those three. That's the weird way to do it. But as time goes on, this will make your life so much simpler. And sometimes I even forget these. Voice over IP or VoIP, I just say, VoIP phones. Voice over Internet Protocol is the right term for it. And using the actual term as opposed to the abbreviation is important, because sometimes people don't know what we know. And that's where that separation comes in from. So leveraging this tool, I spent hours building this, but I just wanted to make it easy. My goal is to make this channel something super useful for you, but also easy, because we lose sight of it. We're like, gigabit ports and all of these fancy terms that have no place. But there's also times where I've dealt with people, CFOs, CTOs, VCIOs, and they're using terms that I'm like, I don't even remember these. Like, I need a cheat sheet to look it up. And the worst part is it's hard to do it in a meeting, but it's even harder to do it on a phone or on your computer as you're typing it in, because they're using so many different key terms that it's impossible for you to keep up. And now you could just go Control F, VoIP, VoIP, boom, it's going to bring you to Voice over Internet Protocol, that section of this cheat sheet. So this is definitely worth printing out. If you have a team of people, give this to all of them. There's a link down below to get this tool, and it is just purely a value add link. But it was something that even I struggle with when I have conversations, or as I'm bringing on new team members, like, what is a VPN? Now, a lot of people know what a VPN is, but people don't. We know what a VPN is because we've said it 100 times, but it is a virtual private network. But there's also VPS, virtual private server. The list continues to go on and on. So just having this simple little tool just to look things up as people go through it. SSO, hey, what is SSO? Or, you might say like, hey, we're going to set you up with SSO. They might be like, what is SSO? You know what SSO is. You just don't know what SSO is when they ask you. We all know it's single sign-on. But when they're like, what is SSO? You're like, it takes a minute for your brain to click in. You're like, oh, it's single sign-on. It takes a second, but there's times that your brain is not going to work that way, and you might actually need to go to look it up. And instead of taking that 15 or 30 seconds to go through and hit Google really quickly, this is just your simple little cheat sheet. It's a great way as you bring on new employees to get them updated and just go through it. Hey, you might even want to highlight some of these if you print them out and say, we use these terms all the time. These are probably worth knowing. Go through, cut this whole thing up if you want to cut this whole thing up, and use it to your advantage. I wish when I first started in the MSP world, somebody just handed this to me, because all I had at the time was my college knowledge, which was not that much, especially in these key terms, and what I was hearing from other people in the office. But I always had to go, what's a WAP? And it took forever because I never had a cheat sheet to look it up to say, oh, wireless access point. Now I know it like the back of my hand, but that's because I've been doing it for so long. But when you're first getting started in the space, this is a no-brainer to make your life significantly easier. And that's all I'm here to do, be the most helpful person in the MSP space as far as marketing and sales go, and I want you to crush it. I spend so much time making these tools just so you can kill it. You have a nice little resource to look up and use to help you grow your business. Other than that, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys every single time for checking in on these videos, and I'll see you guys on the next video. I have an amazing video coming up. I'm just getting the last finishing touches sorted out as far as my worksheet and kind of cheat sheet goes. It is going to be an absolute game changer. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that little notification bell. I'll see you guys later.